how I ended up at the Storytelling Festival for the first time. I was, let's see, this would have been in 1989. I was a single mother with 2 children, going to grad school full-time, and I was commuting so I wouldn't have to uproot my girls. I was exhausted, I was crabby, I was unlivable. And this guy friend of mine who had seen what I had been going through told me, he said, you just need to get away, take the girls to the grandparents, and I'm gonna take you to this storytelling festival up in Denton. It will cheer you up. And I was like, yeah, sure, storytelling, okay, but I went with him. That was it. I was so hooked. It was probably one of the most amazing things I could have ever experienced. Even though I had no desire to be a storyteller, the stories were so moving that it got me through grad school. My husband had been telling at this drug and alcohol treatment center for a while, and his female partner was moving and they needed to find another woman to tell with him because they told him both the men's unit and the women's unit. And I was horribly shy. No way I was going to tell. I was always going to be an audience member, but they couldn't find another woman. Said, look, you know the rules and regs, you know the stories, you know all the issues involved. The only problem is you're too shy to tell. Get over it. So I said I would do it until they found another woman. Well, by the 3rd time I had told, I was so hooked. There was a storyteller who has since passed away. His name was Baba Ayubu Bakiri Kamau. He was an African-American storyteller from Oklahoma. And he was absolutely delightful, very eccentric, and just an incredible person. He was full of life, full of energy, full of love for storytelling. And I was very drawn to him, so I was listening to every story he told, and then he told one story that just had me sputtering. He told the story of the riots of Tulsa. And it's become more prominent. I've noticed, I have seen reports about it in the last, I want to say 5 years. But 20 years ago, no one knew about it. And it actually happened in 1921. There were race riots in Tulsa. There had been an African-American man who had been mistakenly accused of assaulting a woman on an elevator. And because there was already so much there had always been such a large amount of prejudice, an incredible number of lynchings in that area of Oklahoma. There was a lot of resentment because in Tulsa, the African-American population was financially amazingly successful for that period of time. And there had been a lot of racial tension, and this young man being accused of doing something he didn't do actually resulted in this riot that by the time it was done, 35 city blocks were burned to the ground. A number of thousands of people were left homeless, and depending on the official versus the unofficial records, I know the official records said there was something like 30-odd people killed, where other people reported that over 300 people were killed. And why this story really moved me was because here I was working on my graduate degree. I considered myself an intelligent, educated person, and I had never heard that story in my life. And it really made me angry. It really brought to bear that no matter how well educated we are, there are still a lot of stories out there that we need to hear, and they're powerful stories, and the stories are important because if we don't continue them, we're going to repeat them. And I think that was the story that was the changing moment for me. It took storytelling from being entertaining and fun into being an absolute necessity, that it's something all of us need to do either as listeners or as storytellers, and hopefully both.